Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Selenium interview questions. That is, can I call a single data provider method for multiple functions and multiple classes? Let me answer. The answer is yes. Let me practically demonstrate this for you. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE where I'm going to create a test method, public void test one. Okay, test one. And let's say this particular test one will accept username and password. Okay, and I'm going to convert this normal method into a testng test method. Over the mouse on this @test annotation and import it from testng library. That's it. Okay. Now here write down the code like this: system.out.println. When this particular test method gets executed, it should print the username and password. Username, just give an hyphen plus password. Okay, I'll just say password like this. Done. This is good. Now I'm going to create a data provider method which is going to supply the data to this particular test method. Okay. So for that I'll say public void supplier one or something. Okay, I'm just giving some name. And here I'll just annotate with @data provider annotation from testng. This particular method I'm going to make it to supply data to this particular test method. Over the mouse on this data provider annotation and import it from testng library. Now I'm going to give a name for this data provider method. That is name is equal to data supplier one. Okay, like this. I'm just giving a different name. So instead of method name, I'm just giving a name for a data provider. Okay. So this is not compulsory. If you provide, it's better to refer to this data provider method with this data provider mention name for the name attribute. So I would like to supply the data from this data provider method to this particular test method. For that, I'll create a two-dimensional object array. Object array data is equal to, and here I'll write curly braces. Inside the curly braces, again I'll provide multiple sets of data. For every set of data, I will provide a curly brace. Here, 3 sets of data I'm going to provide. Here I will say Arun. Password is 123. And here I will say Varun. Password is 456. Here I will say Tarun. Password is 789. That's it. And here I'm going to return the data. Return data. And here the return type should be two-dimensional object array. Object array, two-dimensional. That's it. Now here I need to supply the data from this data provider to this test method. For that to happen, I have to provide a link between this data provider method in this test method. For that, beside the test annotation of this test method, I'll say data provider attribute is equal to, I'll give the name of this data provider like this. This is good. Okay. Now run the code. Now run this test method, and this test method is going to run how many times? 3 times. Why? Because there are 3 sets of data. For every set of data passed to this test method is going to run that many number of times. Since there are 3 sets of data, this data provider is going to run 3 times. Now simply click on this run, and this test method is going to run 3 times. 3 times the username and password will be printed. You see? 3 times it got run. The same test method, test one got run 3 times, every time with different set of data. You see, Arun 123, Arun 456 got printed, Arun 789. So the question is, can I call a single data provider method for multiple functions? Here only one function is there, right? Here only one test method is there, but can I use the same data provider method for another test method? The answer is yes. Public void, I'll simply say test2. Again, I will pass string username, comma string password. Okay. And here I'll write down some code. System.out.println username plus, I'll just give a colon symbol just to make a difference here. Hyphen is there, a colon is there, so that you know from which test method the print statement got printed. If this test method got executed, then colon symbol will be printed for username and password. Okay. And here I'll convert this into @test. Again, the same process. Beside this @test, provide data provider is equal to give the name of the data supplier method. Okay, like this. Now you have used the same data provider to supply the data to this method, to this method. Either of these methods you can run. For example, if I run this method, colon symbols will be printed while printing the username and password. Just observe that. You see, this time colon symbols got printed. Test2, test2, test2 got executed 3 times for 3 sets of data, and you see colon symbols. Now you can use the same data provider method for this particular test method function also. Click on run. Here hyphens will be printed. Okay, between username and password, hyphens will be printed. You see, this time hyphens got printed. Same test method, test1, test1, test1 got executed 3 times for every set of data. Now the question here is, one more thing is there. Okay, for multiple functions is done. For multiple classes, here only one class is there, that is demo class. Can I use this data provider method in multiple classes? The same data provider, I use it in multiple functions here in this example. Can I use the same data provider in multiple classes? Yes, that is also possible. So what I will do here is, I'll create one separate class. I'll just name this as DP class. Okay, a separate class where data providers will be there. Click on finish. In this DP class, into this DP class, I'll move this data provider method. I'll just move this. Okay, I'll not be keeping this data provider method in this demo class. Rather, I'll be separating into a separate class like this. Now save this. Now demo class is one of the class having some 2 test methods. That's okay. Okay. Now save this. Now one more class I'll create, that is demo2. Demo2. Click on finish. And demo2 also I'll create some test methods like this, same similar kind of test methods in demo2 also I'll create separate class. This is, I'll just name this as test3, test4, like this. Okay. Now, if I have to use this data provider, which is there in DP class in demo, then how to use it? I have to provide one more attribute, that is data provider class is equal to. Now, data provider is not part of the same class. Earlier, data provider was there in the demo class, but now it's moved out to a different class. So in that case, if you want to use the data provider method to supply the data for this particular test methods inside this class, then here one more attribute I have to provide it along with data provider, that is called as data provider class. And here I need to mention the name of the class in which data provider is there, DP class dot class. Like this I have to provide, then it will work. Okay, then it's going to work, guys. Now run this, it is going to work. So this particular test method is going to get the data from that particular supply. You see, it's working. Data is getting supplied. This extra attribute we have to give, that is data provider class is equal to name of the class. You can also run this one also from the same class because, okay. But you see, it is not working, failing. Why? Because, what is the problem? Here I need to provide the name of the class from which I need to get the data supplied. Data provider class. That's why it was not working. Data provider class is equal to DP class dot class I have to mention. Then this particular test method will receive the data from the data provider, which is in an external class. Now run this. It will work this time. You say it got worked. Okay, it got worked. Now I'll go to demo2. Demo2 is another class. Now in this class also there are 2 methods. If these methods also want to get the data from this data provider in this DP class, the same process. Okay, just put a comma here, say data provider class is equal to DP class dot class. That's it. Here also do the same thing. Whatever the test method that I want to receive the data from a data provider which is in an external class, you have to write this thing. Now run this, it's going to work. So that means we are able to use the same data provider in multiple classes, multiple functions in multiple classes. Okay, it's working fine. This one also you can run finally to see everything is working fine. This also will work fine. You say it's also working fine. So hope guys, you got the answer for this question. That is, can I call a single data provider method for multiple functions and classes? The answer is yes. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye.